Welcome, travelers, to Adventures in Security. In this video, we explore incident management, the steps needed to minimize cyber incident business impact. You can download the video script from the link below. Today, we're building a practical incident management approach for hybrid environments, meaning it works for traditional on-prem networks and for cloud services. We'll anchor everything on NIST SP 861 Revision 3, which reframes incident response as part of cybersecurity risk management, not just a security team task. Our roadmap is simple. Define what an incident is, set up the right people and policies, build visibility, then walk through detect, respond, recover, and improve. As we go, I'll point out the choices that differ in the cloud, like shared responsibility with a provider, versus choices you control directly on-prem. Keep asking yourself, what do we need to decide fast in a crisis, and what can we decide now, calmly, during preparation? Revision 3 organizes incident response using the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0. So instead of treating incident handling as a separate four-phase process, we map it to 6 functions: govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Here's the mental model. Govern/identify/protect are broad preparation activities that reduce likelihood and impact. Detect/respond/recover are the core actions when something is happening. And there's a continuous improvement loop, called out as identify improvement, that takes lessons learned from every incident and feeds updates back into every function. If you're used to the classic phases, you can still use them. NIST even shows how those phases map into the CSF functions. Before we manage incidents, we need crisp definitions. An event is any observable occurrence involving computing assets, including physical systems, virtual platforms, and cloud environments. Some events become adverse cybersecurity events. They might have negative impact, but they're not automatically incidents. An incident is a higher bar. Something that actually or imminently jeopardizes confidentiality, integrity, or availability, or violates law or security policy. The practical takeaway is to define incident criteria in advance. That way, your analysts can separate false positives from real incidents and confidently declare an incident when the criteria are met. In hybrid setups, your criteria should cover things like cloud admin abuse, compromised API keys, and on-prem malware outbreaks. Incident management is a team sport. NIST highlights roles that go beyond incident handlers: leadership for decisions and funding, technology professionals across cybersecurity, systems, networks, and cloud, legal for privacy and contractual issues, public affairs for external messaging, HR and physical security, and asset owners who set business priorities. In the cloud, third parties become part of your response machinery, like an MSSP running your SOC or your cloud provider's incident response team when the incident touches their services. This is a shared responsibility model. Contracts should define who does what, how information flows, and who has authority to take actions like shutting down services. Don't wait for the incident to discover you can't access the logs you need. Preparation is where most response time is won or lost. Start with an incident response policy that includes management commitment, scope, definitions, roles and authorities, guidelines for prioritizing and severity, when to initiate recovery, and performance measures. Then translate policy into an incident response plan and into procedures that people can actually execute. In practice, playbooks are gold. Step-by-step checklists for common incidents like ransomware, account takeover, data breach, or denial of service. In a hybrid world, write explicit playbook steps for cloud actions, like disabling compromised IAM users, rotating keys, isolating workloads, and opening a provider support case. right alongside on-prem steps like isolating a VLAN or disabling an AD account. Visibility is your fuel for detection and forensics. NIST recommends centralizing log data, constantly transferring logs from many sources to a smaller number of log servers, and correlating events using tools like SEM and SOAR. Then enrich those tools with up-to-date cyber threat intelligence because it helps you detect earlier in the attack lifecycle. Practically, in a hybrid enterprise, you should ingest on-prem signals like AD authentication, EDR, DNS, firewall, and proxy logs, and also cloud signals like identity events, control plane audit logs, storage access logs, and container/Kubernetes events. One rule: if a log source isn't onboarded before the incident, it probably won't magically appear during the incident. Now we're in Detect and Analyze. Step 1 is scale. The volume of potentially adverse events is huge, so you need technical solutions that filter and highlight what's suitable for human review. Step 2 is correlation. Gather pieces of related data across sources, so you're not chasing isolated alerts. Step 3 is estimating impact and scope, because that drives severity and urgency. Step 4 is declaring the incident. Apply your incident criteria to the known characteristics of activity, account for known false positives, and decide whether this meets the threshold of an incident. A best practice is to automate ticket creation and routing when certain alerts fire, so your responders are working from a single system of record, not scattered chat threads. Once an incident is declared, incident management is how you run the work. NIST is clear: don't handle incidents first, come first served. Prioritize based on risk. Examples of risk evaluation factors include asset criticality, functional impact, data impact, the stage of observed activity, threat actor characterization, and recoverability. Assign an incident lead, so decisions have an owner, and track incident status with the summary, indicators of compromise, action owners, expected timelines, and next steps. Also expect the management decisions: when to escalate for more resources, when to elevate to senior leaders, and when to kick off business continuity and disaster recovery plans because operational disruption is unavoidable. Incident analysis answers 3 questions: what happened, how did it happen, and why did it happen? That means reconstructing the sequence of events, identifying affected assets, and pushing toward root cause, not just cleaning up symptoms. NIST also stresses disciplined documentation. Record actions performed during investigations, and preserve the integrity and provenance of those records. Then evidence. Even if you'll never go to court, the data you collect is still evidence. So collect and retain it according to your retention policy, and use chain of custody procedures when prosecution or regulatory action is possible. Hybrid note: on-prem evidence may be disk images and memory captures. Cloud evidence is often logs, snapshots, and API histories, sometimes requiring provider coordination to obtain or validate. Containment stops expansion. Think, stop the bleeding. Eradication removes the footholds and entry points, like persistence mechanisms, breached accounts, malware, and exploited vulnerabilities. NIST recommends having criteria and procedures to choose containment and eradication actions based on incident type, and it even calls out examples like cloud services compromise versus endpoint ransomware. Automate where it's safe. Quarantine malware. Move endpoints into an isolated remediation network or halt an infected container. Also decide ahead of time what you will authorize third parties to do, like having your ISP or cloud provider automatically contain certain attacks such as large DDoS events. In on-prem containment, you may isolate segments and block indicators. In cloud containment, you may lock down security groups, revoke keys, and disable privileged identities. I provide a more detailed look at containment in my video at the link below. Recovery is not turn it back on and hope. NIST describes recovery as restoring systems and operations, verifying integrity, and completing documentation. Start recovery during or after response, and make sure everyone with recovery responsibilities understands the plan and what authorizations they need. Choose recovery actions with timeliness and precision in mind. Restore only affected files, restore whole system, or rebuild clean. Critically, verify the integrity of backups and other restoration assets before using them. Ransomware and intruders often try to poison backups. After restoration, verify the environment is clean, remediate root causes before returning to production, and monitor performance to confirm stability. Cloud advantage. Infrastructure as code can speed rebuilds if you've practiced and secured the templates. Strong incident management includes strong communication. NIST groups response communication into 4 buckets: incident coordination among parties doing the work, notification of affected stakeholders, public communication, and incident information sharing. You want mechanisms in place in advance: who gets notified, in what order, with what message templates, and at what cadence. During recovery, communication continues. Securely share restoration progress, regularly update senior leadership for major incidents, and follow contract rules for sharing incident information with suppliers and service providers. In hybrid incidents, coordinate closely with your cloud provider so your technical actions and your messaging match. Nothing damages trust faster than contradictory updates from different teams. Let's apply the flow with a fast hybrid scenario. A user's credentials are stolen. You see an unusual on-prem VPN login. Then minutes later, a spike in cloud admin actions and suspicious data access. First, detect and analyze. Correlate identity activity across sources. Enrich with threat intel, estimate scope, and apply incident criteria to declare an incident. Next, incident management. Assign an incident lead, prioritize, based on data impact and critical assets, and open coordinated work streams. Then containment. Disable the compromised account, revoke sessions and keys, isolate affected endpoints, and block known indicators. Eradication follows. Remove persistence, patch exploited weaknesses, and hunt for additional affected systems. Finally, recover. Restore from verified clean backups or rebuild. Validate integrity, and communicate status until the recovery end criteria are met. We close the loop with lessons learned and continuous improvement. NIST emphasizes that lessons should often be shared as soon as they're identified, not postponed until after recovery. Improvements come from evaluations, tests, and exercises, and real incident work, including exercises coordinated with key suppliers. After a major incident, produce an after-action report and run a lessons learned meeting. What happened, what we did, what worked, what failed, and what will change. In hybrid environments, improvement actions often include tightening identity controls, improving log coverage, refining cloud/on-prem playbooks, and updating contracts so responsibilities are crystal clear. If you remember one theme from today, let it be this. Incident management is a continuous loop. Prepare, detect, respond, recover, improve across both on-prem and cloud. That's it for this video. If you learned anything, please remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, be careful what you click.